r/AskReddit. Prying parents of Reddit. What secret of your child did you discover that made you wish you hadn't? When I was in high school, I had an unusual set of circumstances fall into my lap. Middle class, white, in a sort of midway between suburban and rural town. I had been dating the same guy since I was 12 or 13. He had been kicked out of his house, and being the loyal and crafty 15-year-old partner, I built a false wall under my loft-style bed, a cavity hidden behind my little mini lover seat where he could sleep. He was somewhat older than me, and not in school anymore, so after the first few weeks some modifications had been made to the setup. We moved my little 11-inch bubble TV next to the couch, opened a small slit in the false wall, and ran controllers through, so he could play video games without the possibility of getting caught. I also got a shoe organizer, and hung it down from the bed into his little nook, and filled it with snacks. He bought the same laptop as me, so I could switch them on the charger and no one would be the wiser. We managed to get by like this for a couple months, and then I fucked up by borrowing my mom's earrings and forgetting to return them. She came into my room one evening when thankfully both my boyfriend and I were not home, looking for her earrings. I didn't know that my boyfriend had stashed his weed in my jewelry box, and so as she is digging through my things she stumbles upon a cigarette box with a dime inside. This prompts her tearing a part of my room, uncovering various other paraphernalia, such as condoms, lube, my dildo, a ritual knife, and eventually, the shoe organizer full of snacks. She left all of it in a pile on top of my dresser with a note on the cigarette box that said something to the effect of "You are making bad choices, and I hope you course correct." I'm sure I would have gotten much worse than a sticky note if my parents had pieced together that I had someone living in their house without their knowledge, so I guess this is a reversal. I'm a kid that is seriously glad my parents didn't discover my secret. My sister and her son lived with me and my parents. When he was younger, I would babysit while my sister was in college. When my nephew was 6 he started hanging out behind the couch every day. He would go back there and just hang out. I figured, hey, whatever, it's probably like a fort to him. Well, one afternoon he is just laughing his ass off having a great old time behind the couch. I lean over so I can see what's up and ask if he wants a sandwich or something, and all around the baseboard are the largest collection of dead bugs I have ever seen, all laid out, some with little flowers or rocks at their heads, like little tombstones. It was like a bug graveyard. My nephew looks at me and starts laughing. I ask him what's funny. He points at the bugs and says, "Look, Auntie Tank Gerald, they are all dead." I say, "Yes, they sure are." He replies, "They always ran away when I would catch them, but things don't move anymore when they are dead, so they stay with me." I kinda looked at him weird, then just asked if he wanted a sandwich. I was very unsure about what to do about this, so I said nothing and let him play with his bug graveyard. He seemed to like it. I gave him a little box to put his bugs away in after he was done playing, because my mom would have lost her mind if she found a bunch of dead bugs, and I'm not sure how my sister would react. He is a very normal 15-year-old now and is really into biology and geology, and going into biology in university. I guess the bugs were just his early understandings and interest in how biology works. But man, until he announced he was into biology in high school, I was always on the lookout to see if he was becoming a serial killer or something. Apparently though, my sister knew about the dead bugs and had wondered where he got the box from. But he didn't tell her it was me because he was worried I would get in trouble. She told him not to play with his bugs if grandma was home, and my mom knew about the bugs too and just told him to make sure he washed his hands after, but didn't tell us because she thought we would freak out. Turns out we all knew about the dead bugs and kept it from each other, thinking we were protecting the kid from having his hobby taken away. He never clued us into the fact that everyone knew about the bugs. We adopted one of our kids, and he is biracial, while the rest of the family is white. Back when he was in 2nd grade, I found a writing assignment that the kids had to do. They essentially had to write 3 things they would wish for if they had a genie. One of the things he wrote was, "I wish I was white." That really hit me hard. I thought we had done enough to incorporate his racial/cultural background. It wasn't something we just ignored. It hurt to see that he didn't want to be who he was, and that we had something to do with that. I hated that he felt that way, and I hated that I found it. In hindsight, however, I'm glad I found it. It opened up the dialogue even more, and our son reveled that he wanted to move somewhere where he wasn't one of the only black kids. We did end up moving to a much more diverse area a few years later, and I love it here. My son is now in middle school and is pretty comfortable talking about racial identity. As much as it hurt finding the paper, I think it was beneficial to get it out in the open. I'm retired. My daughter is 22, just started grad school, was valedictorian in high school, couldn't be more proud. She was home for a few weeks last summer. She was in the shower. I couldn't find my phone and I needed to get a hold of my wife who was out shopping. We were going to meet her for lunch. Grabbed my daughter's phone. As luck would have it, she still used the same code from when she was in high school, when we got her first phone. When she was 16 we required that we knew her code to unlock it. Unlocked her phone and the first thing to appear on the phone was a text message where she had sent a picture to someone. The picture was a selfie of her and 3 black men in bed. There was nothing sexual in the picture, but they were all naked and smiling for the camera. I didn't read the text message, but I saw enough to know that it said something to the effect of "had a great time, can't wait to see you guys again." I closed her phone and said nothing. Had a knot in my stomach all through lunch. Have never told anyone about it until now. Not even her mother. She is an adult and is free to make her own choices. And God knows, I sure did some crazy shit when I was her age. But I really wish I had never seen that. Not a parent, but I feel this is relevant. My parents found out I was gay after I got grounded for doing a school project last minute. I was too stupid to put a password on my laptop because I had only recently gotten it and never closed my Skype conversation of me telling my friends I was gay and had a boyfriend. Really stupid in retrospect. They didn't take it well, to say the least, and words were thrown back and forth. I'm kinda not friends with them anymore, but it's whatever. When my parents saw this, they were concerned and confronted me about it immediately. I was overly emotional, and they were overly emotional. They didn't see it coming, as they probably shouldn't have. Who would have suspected the chubby kid who's not very feminine, but were overall accepting? My mom especially. Apparently, she had a gay uncle who she loved, but was shunned by her family. Realizing that no one wanted him around, he moved to Seattle, on the complete opposite coast. This was also around the time of the AIDS crisis in America. My mom was told the reason he left was because he developed gay cancer, nickname for AIDS at the time, and wasn't allowed to be around anyone. He later died of AIDS on Christmas Eve. No one ever talks about him anymore. My mom and I really connected afterwards and probably wouldn't have the relationship we have today if not for her going through my laptop. The only thing that really sucks is I don't have a great coming out story. My entire family was helping my auntie and her son move house. Her son, my cousin, was 14 and had his first girlfriend, who was also there helping, load furniture and boxes. Each room was packed and loaded onto a truck by midday except for my cousin's, as he had insisted he do his own room. His room hadn't been packed at all. The only distinct difference was 3 trash bags, poorly tied in the middle of the room. My auntie, furious with his progress, refuses his pleas to let him do it alone and grabs a bag to take to the trash, and in front of everybody, my mom, grandparents, uncles, cousins, sisters etc., she accidentally drops the bag, and it entire spilling out used condoms all over the hallway floor. We are talking heaps of them, a full trash bag full. Keep in mind there were 2 more full bags as well. His girlfriend went home with tears of pure shame pouring out her eyes, and he sort of stood there in a panic, not knowing whether to run away in embarrassment or pick up his jizz-filled rubbers that were sprawled out in front of our entire family. It was a day to remember. Okay, I'm gonna do the classic not my kid thing, but yeah, not my kid, but my kid's sister. Okay, she's 3 years younger than me, but she's the youngest, and I always call her my kid/baby sister. I went into her room to try to steal one of her many phone charger wires. She'd left her bag on her bed, and it was open. The second I saw it, my heart dropped. A pregnancy test box. She'd just turned 17. I searched for the test, but it wasn't there. I truly wished I'd never found it for a moment or two, but then I realized I needed to support my sister. Eventually she came in from work and I explained what had happened. She immediately just turned and started walking up the stairs, saying nothing. I followed her and reassured her that I wasn't angry and wasn't going to tell our mother. I just needed to know so that I could support her through this. She then burst into tears and told me that the test had been positive, but she miscarried a month ago. Honestly, I was heartbroken. Both for the loss of the baby, but also because she hadn't felt she could tell us. I'm glad that her then boyfriend's family was in the know and his mother was apparently very supportive and had taken her and her boyfriend to the hospital and taken good care of her. But I wish she had let that be me. I wish she had felt she could tell me. I supported her through it the best I could, and we had lots of cuddles and cried together a lot. She still didn't want me to tell our mom or other sister and I didn't. A few years later she fell pregnant again, and I like to think that I did right by her after the miscarriage, because I was the first person she told. Unfortunately that pregnancy also ended in loss. Fast forward a few more years and I now have the most beautiful nephew and niece I could have ever imagined. They have no idea what they mean to me. Wait. One more. When I went off to college, I started getting rid of the boxes of my sex toys because I was paranoid of throwing them in the trash on the off chance dad would find them. Dunno why. Sometimes he loses things in the trash. So on the last night before I left, in the middle of the night, I threw the boxes in a Walmart bag, tied it, and threw it in our trash container outside. Day before trash day. I thought I was clever. Wrong. When I came home one break I brought my dildo home and forgot it. When I went back, I called mom for something a few months later for something completely unrelated, and then mom was like, oh, by the way, I was looking through your room for pens. I have a ton of pens, and I found your sex toy. She told me this while I was on the school shuttle, so I'm trying to keep a straight face while on the inside my stomach kind of dropped. So I replied with a ha. And she's like, I really wish you had come to me about this instead of going behind my back and getting this. Some other conversation, and then she makes the comment about how she's worried about the black one because it looks kind of big and something don't want to be loose for your husband when you share your first time. I was not a virgin by this conversation. I told her that's not how vaginas work, and I'm sure mine will be fine. After she hangs up I start to second guess myself and ask my FWB on a scale of 1 to 10 how does my vagina feel? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, how does it feel? Is it tight? Does it feel fine? It feels like a pussy. Thanks mom. Not a parent, just happened to me as a kid. Never told this story to anyone before. I was fairly internet savvy back in the day in the early 2000s as an 11-year-old. Dad worked in it. I had no friends, so I was on there constantly. Parents didn't pay me much attention. I was lonely. I went into Yahoo chat rooms and drew Escape and was a budding weeaboo, so I made up a fake persona as an 18-year-old Japanese girl, Emi Takashi. I made fake accounts that are probably still floating around somewhere on Rate Me sites. Profiles, made up fake Japanese friends, and made real ones. I even had a few boyfriends, where things got pretty steamy. I was in there. This went on for probably a year. It was my new life. One day chatting at 3 AM with a random guy about something sexy, boom, my internet went out. At this point I had figured out how the router works, and how to get around it, and make it work on my own. I go downstairs to check. My dad is sitting there. He knows everything. He'd seen the sites, the chats, all of it. We both just kind of stood there in silence for a while. It was the most awkward talking to of my life. Edit. Holy shit. Found my email address and my old rat Emma Bardi account. Digging through there now. So much cringing. Why was I like this? I came home from work one day to a horrendous smell. Following my nose to the kids' bathroom, I saw my daughter, then maybe 9, with a Barbie doll. Barbie was naked, and her hair had been chopped off. My daughter was holding Barbie by her little neck over the sink, and had a lighter at Barbie's foot. Talk, my daughter screamed, as Barbie's foot melted into the sink. I told you to talk. My first thought was that my daughter should not have had access to a lighter, so I asked her where she got it. Oh, it was with daddy's cigarettes, she told me, sweet as could be. What are you doing with Barbie? I asked her, trying to keep my voice calm. My little daughter's eyes hardened, and she nearly snarled she won't give up enemy secrets, so I have to torture her. This was out of character for my daughter, and we were not a household that condoned torture under any circumstances, so that really took me by surprise. Okay, honey, can you maybe find a way to torture Barbie that won't release toxic fumes? My daughter thought about it for a moment. Sure, she cheerfully told me. And honey, please give me the lighter. She handed it right over. To this day, I don't know what secrets a plastic doll might have held, or what methods were next employed, although I did find a plastic arm on the floor some time later. My daughter did not grow up to be a serial killer or to work for an intelligence agency, but rather for non-profit arts organizations. She opposes torture and thinks that all people, including prisoners, should be treated with dignity. She is very kind to people and animals. I have never witnessed any cruelty, except for that one incident, which is still a bit alarming to remember. Not exactly following the question from Op, but my mother learned a valuable lesson after what had happened with us. Being 18 years old at the time, I had a collection of uniquely sized and shaped dildos, majority coming from a site called Bad Dragon, still do plus much more now. This particular night I was super horny and had a few hours to spare, so in my room spending some quality time with 6 varying dildos and wearing some lingerie, just having a great time. Parents are downstairs watching a movie. Apparently the movie had just finished, and my mother decides to go check up on me to see what I'm doing. She doesn't knock. Here I'm on the bed, wearing a schoolgirl outfit, horse-shaped dildo all the way down my throat, a very girth white toy balls deep in my ass, cum stains all across my face and schoolgirl shirt and a few dildos laying on me. I'm frozen in place. And what does she do? She comes in and just starts talking to me like everything is normal. She glances at some of the toys laying on me. Wow, how can you fit this inside you? So these are the toys you have. Good lord, look at the size of that. So this is what you keep ordering online. Well, I will let you keep doing whatever is going on here. She walks out and closes the door. Welp, my mood is ruined now. Next morning we stare at each other awkwardly and just the look in her eyes suggests she shouldn't have come to bother me. Not my kid, but a younger cousin, 16. I was asked by his computer illiterate parents to fix his laptop. As it turns out his browser was full of younger boy/older guy porn. I even found a dating profile where he was looking for much older men. His entire half of the family is very redneck and homophobic, so I cleared his history. When I gave him his computer back, I showed him how to use private browsing. I then apologized for what I was about to say, but felt obligated then explained to be careful looking for anyone so much older as it wasn't legal for a couple years, yet and due to this, he may be finding some real creepers. I then spent the next 4 years correcting his family and calling them out over their homophobic comments. Played the long game with changing their opinions. My cousin just married his boyfriend and his entire family except for one uncle showed. First time I teared up at a wedding. Edit. Thanks for the gold and the kind words. I never would have thought that something so simple to me would mean so much to so many. As a guy with gay friends, I guess I'm not overly exposed to the trials so many have to go through just to be themselves. Internet hugs for all. Back 5 or 6 years ago, my mom got an iPad, and it was a treasure of the household. She didn't let anybody use it, but always kept in her room on a charger, mostly because she's technologically inept. One day my 7-year-old brother was secretly playing Candy Crush on it when he heard my mom coming up the stairs. Not wanting to get caught with the iPad, he put it back on her nightstand plugged in and hid under the bed. What he failed to notice at the time was that not only was my mom coming up the steps, but my dad also. My dad at the time was close to 300 pounds. Since then he's lost over 55 pounds. They opened the door, jump on the bed, and proceed to do it with my little brother under the bed. Due to the weight of my dad and mom on the bed, his head was slammed into the ground with every thrust. Poor kid had to endure that for several minutes, and had to wait for the two of them to go to the bathroom so he could make his escape. He doesn't like to talk about it to this day, and I don't think he's told my parents about that. All he wanted was to play some Candy Crush. This one is a fucked up one. Brother 1 told my mom that he has been using brother 2's computer to download music. This is the era of LimeWire, maybe 2007, and saw that brother 2 had literally thousands of CP stuff on his computer. My brothers were in their early 20s. My mom checked brother 2's computer and confirms that her child is downloading CP. What does she do? Nothing. She even bought brother 2 another laptop when his became unusable due to the amount of viruses and malware. 2 years ago, the feds raided my mother's house. Plot twist, they were there for brother 1. He started to download CP. She now has the honor of having both of her sons in prison and as sex offenders. Of course she makes it all about herself. It's a shame. Brother 1 was the one who was supposed to make it. Not even really prying, but came home from work early one day and heard the shower running in the bathroom my 17-year-old son uses. Then heard some decidedly loud sounds of enjoyment from a female. Figuring none of wanted to deal with the embarrassment of an interruption, I retreated to the living room. About 15 minutes later my son and his girlfriend come downstairs and are quite surprised to see me already home. Figuring this would be a good time to twist the knife a little, I said, "So, what were you guys up to in the bathroom? Together?" My son stammered out, "Well, we had been in the pool and wanted to wash off the chlorine, and we were in a hurry, so we went in together, but we kept our bathing suits on." Then his girlfriend looked at him like he was the world's biggest idiot and said, "That's what you're going to go with?" He looked at her and said, "Yep, that's what happened." She looked at me and said, "Okay, we are going with his story." I told them it sounded reasonable. Not really the prying type, but grabbed my 9-year-old daughter's tablet to show her how to get to her Gmail inbox using her web browser. Her email client was misbehaving. There were like 7 open tabs of porn, and her web search history had a boys peeing search. Shocked me and the wife. She's 9. That was when we decided it was time for a bit of anatomical and reproduction info, which, of course, fell to me. My wife was thoroughly incapable. Edit, yes, she has her own email, and she emails me constantly while I'm gone during the week. I'm a truck driver. She also plays Skyrim and is a level 36, two-hand wielding whirlwind of a gadget. She also thinks Legolas from the low TR movies is, in her words, super hot, so please continue telling me how badly I'm failing at parenting. Not exactly what Op is asking for, but similar situation to many of the comments. I was a teenager, maybe 15 or 16, and we had satellite TV. This was back when the Playboy channel was a thing. Anyway, it was around 2 AM in the summer and everyone is asleep, so I thought, my parents are only 20 years older than me, so they were quite young. I go to the Playboy channel, and it asks me for the passcode. Apparently my dad already had a subscription. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out the passcode, and my dad comes down the hall to get a glass of water and catches me trying to figure out the code. He looks at the TV and casually says, "Your mom's birthday is coming up soon." Puzzled, I replied, "But dad, it's the middle of the summer. Oh, mom's birthday is in December. Thanks for the passcode, dad." This didn't happen to me, it happened to my older brother. Anyways, my oldest brother had moved to Arizona for the summer and he came back, and he has no shame. He's talking to me, and he pulls out a flashlight, but it was still in its box, or whatever, and on the box were two anime girls with big titties, and he's like, look lol. So we both have a laugh and go to bed. Couple days later I'm walking down the hall, and I see my dad talking to him, but my brother always has the nervous look on his face when he's embarrassed, and so my dad leaves and I ask my brother what happened, and this is what he said. Dad found my flashlight behind the couch, and at first I was worried, cause I thought he was gonna get mad at me, but instead he tried to comfort me by telling me that he's seen worse things, and he said that when he was in the Marines one of his buddies would literally orgasm every time he heard or saw a picture of Sandra Bullock, and we are looking at each other and just burst out laughing. That's something I'll never forget. My mom really liked to really go through my stuff. Whenever I'd be out of the house, school trip, sleepover, she'd feel inspired to clean my room and find something to be pissed at me about. But there's a very specific story to tell here. When I was 17, I pierced my own dick. Now, I did a lot of research. I purchased an autoclave piercing needle, appropriate internally threaded jewelry, and Pennington slotted forceps. I did all the research, pierced it with no problem in our bathroom, and went about my life. It wasn't the smartest thing, but everything worked out. Now, I also knew enough that you can't just dispose of a piercing needle. So, I wrapped it in a paper towel and then duct taped it all together. That was, there'd be no accidental pokes. I shoved that into a container, tucked in my closet, to dispose of later. Anyway, I was out on some school trip for a few days, and you can probably guess what happened. When I got home, my mom wouldn't look at me or talk to me. I had no idea what she was mad at me for, although I had an educated guess, so I just left it alone. I was laying on my bed in my room later when my mom walked in and just handed the phone to me. No explanation given. I put it up to my ear. Hello. Hi. This is so and so from Drive so and so's office of urology. Your mother tells me that you pierced your own penis? Yeah. I have no idea how she knew what exactly I pierced. I guess process of elimination, but she forced me to make an appointment. Long story short, the doctor was impressed with the piercing. Apparently the only piercings he sees aren't doing too well, and told me and my mom so. It was really vindicating for me, but she was so pissed. She told me to take it out. I told her I did but didn't. She couldn't force me to show her. So we just went on with our lives. And then I moved across the country for college the next year. Thank you so much for watching the whole video. Please leave a like and subscribe.